Okay, family, we're back now with part six of who were the Gentiles that Yahushua sent Paul to. This is part six, and we're going to double back to Second Kings, starting at chapter 18, and chapter 18 we're going to start there, and we may get to 25. Not sure. But we're going to start there because we did not give equal time to Judah because Judah did its dirt, as well, which was the southern kingdom. And so we're going to start at chapter 18 of Second Kings. And it came to be in the third year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father David did. He took away the high places and broke the pillars, and cut down the Asherah, these are all gods, and broke in pieces the bronze serpent which Moses had made. For until those days the children of Yasharel was burning incense to it, and called it Nehushtan. He put his trust in Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharel, and after him was none like him among all that came after him, among all the kings of Judah, nor who were before him. And he clung to Yahuwah. He did not turn away from following him, but he guarded his commands, which Yahuwah had commanded Moses. And Yahuwah was with him wherever he went. He acted wisely. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. And he smote the Philistines as far as Azah and its borders, from watchtower to walled city. And it came to be in the fourth year of King Hezekiah, which was the seventh year of Hoshea, son of Elah, the king of Yasharel, that Shalmander, try not to butcher these names, Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Solomon and besieged it. Okay, they went back in history. And they captured it at the end of 3 years. In the sixth year of Hezekiah, that is the ninth year of Hoshea, king of Yasharel, Samaria was captured. And the king of Assyria exiled Yasharel to Assyria, which we know about that, and placed them in Halah and Habar, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Midianites. Now these are all Gentile nations, whether Assyria exiled the northern kingdom, because they did not obey the voice of Yahuwah, their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, all that Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, had commanded, and they did not obey nor do them. And in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sanhedrin, the king of Assyria, came up against all the walled cities of Judah, the southern kingdom, and captured them. And Hezekiah, the king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria at Lachish, saying this: I have sinned. Turn away from me. I shall bear whatever you impose me taxes. And the king of Assyria imposed upon Hezekiah, the king of Judah, 300 kikars of silver and 30 kikars of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasuries of the king's house. At that time, Hezekiah cut off the doors of the temple of Yahuwah and the doorposts which Hezekiah, king of of Judah had overlaid. He had overlaid it, with gold and stuff. And he gave it to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria sent the Tartan and the Rabsaris and the Rabshakeh from Lachish with a great army against Jerusalem, to King Hezekiah. Now who? Now the Tartan and the Rabsaris and the Rabshakeh, they were military like officers and just cupbearers of the of Assyria and all that. Because I had to look that up. That's what they were, and they were with a great army against Jerusalem to King Hezekiah. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they had come up, they came and stood by the channel of the upper pool, which was on the highway to the launderer's field. And they called to the king. And Eloquim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Joab, the son of Asaph, the recorder, they came out to them. And the Rapshanet said to them, Please say to Hezekiah, Thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, What is this trust in which you have trusted? You have spoken of having counsel and strength for battle, but they are only words of the lips. And in whom do you trust that you rebel against me? Now look, you have put your trust in the staff of this crushed reed, Mizraim, Egypt, on which if a man leans, it shall go into his hands and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, king of Mizraim, to all who trust in him. Because Assyria did. I mean, the northern kingdom did. They trusted in him at their own peril. But when you say to me, We trust in Yahuwah, our Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose altars that Hezekiah has taken away, and said to Judah and Jerusalem, Bow yourselves before this altar in Jerusalem? And now I urge you, give a pledge to my master, the king of Assyria. Then I give you 2,000 horses if you are able to put riders on them. And how do you turn back the face of one commander of the least of my master's servants and trust in Egypt for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without Yahuwah against this place to destroy it? Yahuwah said to me, Go up against this land, and you shall destroy it. Then said Eloquim, son of Hilkiah, the Shebnite, and Joab, the Rapshanite, Please speak to your servants in Arabic, for we understand it. And do not speak to us in the language of Judah, in the ears of the people on the wall. They didn't want all the people to know what they were saying to them, the people of Judah. And the Rapshakeh said to them, Has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men sitting on the wall to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? And the Rapshakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the language of Judah, and spoke and said, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus said the king, Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you out of his hand. And do not let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah shall certainly deliver us, and this city is not given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus said the king of Assyria, Make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and let each of you eat from his own vine, and each from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land just like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, and live and not die. But do not listen to Hezekiah when he misleads you. He misleads you saying, Yahuwah shall deliver us. Has any of the gods of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamat and Arpad? Where are the gods of Seraphim and Hena and Igwa? Did they deliver Samaria from my hand? Who among all the gods of the lands have delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahuwah shall deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent and did not answer him a word, for the command of the king was, do not answer him. And Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joab the son of Asaph the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their garments on, and they reported to him the words of the Rabshakeh. And it came to be, when King Hezekiah heard it, that he tore his garments and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Yahuwah and sent Eloquim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests covering themselves with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet, son of Amoz. And they said to him, thus said Hezekiah, this day is a day of distress and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no power to bring forth. Could it be that Yahuwah, your Elohim, hears all the words of the Rabshakeh, whom his master, the king of Assyria, has sent to reproach the living Elohim, and shall rebuke the words which Yahuwah, your Elohim, has heard? Therefore, lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. And the servants of King Hezekiah, they came to Isaiah. And Isaiah said to them, say this to your master. Thus said Yahuwah, do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have reviled me. See, I am putting a spirit upon him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land. And I shall cause him to fall by the sword in his land. And the Rapsakeh returned and found the king of Assyria fighting against Libnah, for he which, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And when the king heard concerning Tekoa, the king of Cush, see, he has come out to fight against you. He again sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the king of Assyria. See, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed? Gozan and Haran and Rapset and the sons of Eden and who were in Telazar? Where is the king of Hamat and the king of Arpad and the king of the city of Sepharvaim and Hena and Igwa? And Hezekiah received the letters from the hand of the messengers and read them and went up to the house of Yahuwah. And Hezekiah spread it before Yahuwah, the letters. And Hezekiah prayed before Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are Elohim, you alone of all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made the Shemayim and the earth. Incline your ear, O Yahuwah, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahuwah, and see, and hear the words of Sanherib, which he has sent to reproach the living Elohim. Truly, Yahuwah, the sovereigns of Assyria have laid waste the lands and they have put their gods into the fire. For they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and destroyed them. And now, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, I pray, save us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth know that you are Yahuwah Elohim, you alone. Then Isaiah, son of Amoz, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, I have heard that which you have prayed to me against Sanherib, king of Assyria. This is the word which Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. The maiden, the daughter of Zion, has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? Against whom have you raised a voice and lifted up your eyes on high? Against the Kadash one of Yasharel? By the hand of your messengers you have reproached Yahuwah and said, With my many chariots I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars, its choice cypress trees, and I enter its remotest parts, its thickest forests. I have dug and drunk strange water, and with the soles of my feet I dry up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago? I made it. From days of old, I formed it. Now I have brought it to be that you should make walled cities ruinous heaps, and their inhabitants were powerless, and they were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field and the green plants, as the grass on the housetops, and withered before it had grown. But I know you're sitting down and you're going out and you're coming in, and your rage against me, said the Most High, because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears. I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn you back by the way which you came. And this is the sign for you. This year you eat what grows of itself, and in the second year, what springs from that? And in the third year, sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit. And the remnant who have escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion, the ardor of Yahuwah does this. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah concerning the king of Assyria, he does not come into this city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it with a shield, nor does he build a siege mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and he does not come into this city, declares Yahuwah. And I shall defend this city to save it for my own sake and for the sake of David, my servant. And I shall defend this city to save it for my own sake and for the sake of David, my servant. He didn't do that for the northern kingdom. And it came to be in that night that the messenger of Yahuwah went out and smote in the camp of Assyria 185,000. And they rose up early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies. And Sanherib, the king of Assyria, broke camp and went away and turned back and remained in Nineveh. And it came to be as he was bowing himself in the house of Nisroch, his god, that his sons Adremelech and Sarasta smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat, and his son Esarhaddon reigned in his place. Now to 20. In those days, Hezekiah was sick unto death, and Isaiah the prophet, son of Amoz, went to him and said to him, Thus said Yahuwah, put your house in order, for you are going to die and not live. And he turned his face toward the wall and prayed to Yahuwah, saying, I pray to you, O Yahuwah, remember how I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what's good in your eyes. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And it came to be, before Isaiah had gone out into the middle court, that the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, Return and say to Hezekiah, the leader of my people, Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of David, your father, I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. See, I am going to heal you. On the third day, go up to the house of Yahuwah, and I shall add to your days 15 years, and deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria, and shall defend this city for my own sake, and for the sake of David, my servant. And Isaiah said, Take a cake of figs. And they took and laid it on the ball, and he recovered. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, What is the sign that Yahuwah heals me, and that I shall go up to the house of Yahuwah the third day? In other words, he's asking him to repeat that. And Isaiah said, This is the sign for you from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah does the word which he has spoken. Shall the shadow go forward 10 degrees, or go backward 10 degrees? And Hezekiah said, It will be easy for the shadow to go down 10 degrees. But no, but let the shadow go backward 10 degrees. And Isaiah the prophet cried out to Yahuwah, and he brought the shadow 10 degrees backward, by which it had gone down on the sundial of Ahaz. At that time, Berodach Baladan, the son of Baladan, the king of Babel, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah listened to them and showed them all his treasure house, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all his armory, and all that was found among his treasures. There was not an object in his house or in all his rule that Hezekiah did not show them. Mm. And Isaiah the prophet came to King Hezekiah and said to him, What did these men say, and from where did they come to you? And Hezekiah said, They came from a distant land, from Babel. And he said, What have they seen in your house? And Hezekiah answered, They saw all that is in my house. There is not an object among my treasures that I did not show them. And Isaiah said to Hezekiah, Hear the word of Yahuwah. See, the days are coming when all that is in your house, because you showed it to them, and what your fathers have treasured up until this day, shall be brought to Babel. No object is to be left, said Yahuwah, because they wouldn't show it. They showed their hand. They showed too much. Goodness. And they are going to take away some of your sons who are to be born to you, whom you bring forth. And they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babel. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, The word of Yahuwah which you have spoken is good. And he said, Is it not so, if peace and truth are to be in my days? And the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and all his might, and how he made a pool and a channel and brought water into the city, are they not written in the book of the annals, the chronicles, of the kings of Judah? So Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and Manasseh his son reigned in his place. Now Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to the abominations of the Gentiles, of whom Yahuwah dispossessed before the children of Yasharel. And he turned and he built the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he raised up altars for Baal and made an Asherah a god, as Ahab, king of Yasharel, had done back in the day. And he bowed himself to all the hosts of the Shemayim, and he served them. And he built altars in the house of Yahuwah, of which Yahuwah had said, In Jerusalem I put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of the heavens in the two courtyards of the house of Yahuwah. And he made his son pass through the fire, and he practiced magic and used divination and consulted spiritists and mediums, witchcraft. He did much evil in the eyes of Yahuwah to provoke. And he placed a carved image of Azarah that he made in the house of which Yahuwah had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Yasharel, I put my name forever. And no more shall I cause the feet of Yasharel to move from the land which I gave their fathers, only if they guard to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the Torah that my servant Moses commanded them. But they did not obey. And Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the Gentiles whom Yahuwah had destroyed before the children of Yasharel. And Yahuwah spoke by his servants, the prophets, saying, because Manasseh, king of Judah, has done these abominations, having done more evil than all the Amorites who were before him, and also made Judah sin with his idols. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, see, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah that both ears of those who hear of it shall tingle. And I shall stretch over Jerusalem the measuring line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and shall wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I shall forsake the remnant of my inheritance, and give into the hand of their enemies, and they shall be for a prey and for a plunder to all their enemies, because they have done evil in my eyes, and have provoked me since the day their fathers came out of Mizraim, even to this day. And also Manasseh shed very much innocent blood until he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, besides his sin with which he made Judah sin, in doing evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And the rest of the acts of Manasseh and all that he did and the sin that he committed, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? So Manasseh slept with his fathers and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah. And his son Amon reigned in his place. And Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned for 2 years in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother was Meshulamet, the daughter of Haratz of Yobah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, as his father Manasseh had done, and walked in all the ways that his father had walked, and served the idols, and his fathers had served, and bowed himself to them, and forsook Yahuwah, Elohim of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of Yahuwah. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and killed the king in his own house. But the people of the land smote all those who had conspired against King Ammon. And the people of the land appointed his son Josiah to reign in his place. And the rest of the acts of Ammon which he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Josiah reigned in his place. I'm going to stop there for a until we will go on and see what Josiah did, because we are still heading towards who were the Gentiles that Yahushua sent Paul to. Okay, we will pick it up in the next reading. Blessings.